Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to another edition of Crimes of the Week. Before we get to today's video, we wanted to announce that Crime Zone's official Patreon page is now live. In addition to ad-free videos and other extras, patrons will also get access to weekly bonus videos for our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International series. So if you want even more Crime Zone content, head over to patreon.com/crimezone for exclusive cases not featured in today's video. On Thursday, the U.S. Marshal Service announced that a fugitive who had been on the run for 27 years had been successfully recaptured. 52-year-old Samuel Gallardo was arrested in the Mexican city of Nayarit and was extradited back to Nevada to serve the remainder of a 40-year sentence. In 1992, Gallardo was convicted of DUI causing serious death or bodily injury after he got onto the interstate traveling the wrong direction while intoxicated and slammed into the vehicle of 18-year-old Gary Shelby Jr. Shelby was killed instantly and his passengers were seriously injured. Though Gallardo was imprisoned, he managed to escape while on a fire crew in February of 1994. The fugitive managed to escape to Mexico, where he laid low for more than 2 decades. In 2015, someone reached out to the Marshal Service with a tip concerning Gallardo's whereabouts. Though that tip did not lead to Gallardo's capture, it reportedly brought the case to the agency's attention, and they began to thoroughly investigate it. Gallardo was first tracked down early last year, before he could be arrested and extradited this week. A representative of the Marshal Service said that Gallardo got comfortable after his many years on the run and made some mistakes, which they were able to capitalize on. Gallardo had served less than 2 years of his sentence at the time of his escape, and has now been ordered to serve the remaining time. Halifax Regional Police say that they arrested 2 people this weekend following a violent incident involving landscaping and gardening equipment. On Sunday evening, police responded to the situation after receiving a call about a disturbance on Caledonia Road in Dartmouth. A man had reportedly tried to attack another man with a chainsaw and a tree trimmer. When a third man had tried to intervene to put an end to the violent incident, a woman drove her car up over the curb and struck the man. It is unclear whether the woman was with the man who initiated the attack. When police arrived, the woman was arrested, along with the man wielding the chainsaw and the tree trimmer. Both were charged with assault with a weapon and possession of weapons dangerous to the public. They have since been released and are due to appear in court at a later date. Last week, Customs and Border Protection officers at the Pharr International Bridge cargo facility in Texas announced that they had recently seized a large quantity of meth concealed in a shipment of fresh produce. According to the agency, the drugs in question were found on April 17th, when a tractor trailer hauling fresh pickling cucumbers was pulled aside for further inspection. The so-called funky pickles were subjected to a non-intrusive imaging system inspection, in which shipments are examined through X-ray or gamma-ray imaging. The scans revealed 114 suspicious packages hiding in the produce, which contained 217 pounds of methamphetamine, worth approximately $4.3 million. The exact origin of the drugs remains under investigation by Homeland Security. On Friday, representatives from the Kenner Police Department in Louisiana announced that they had made an arrest in the 2010 double murder case of 29-year-old Hermania Ellsworth and 38-year-old Charles Davis. Ellsworth and Davis were shot to death as they were making a late-night trip to the convenience store on June 17, 2010. Davis was shot in the throat, right shoulder, and left hand, while Ellsworth was shot in the torso. The injuries the pair sustained caused them to crash their car into a tree in the front yard of a home on the 600 block of Farrar Avenue. The pair's 3-year-old son, Charles Jr., was also in the car, but wasn't hit by any bullets. He suffered a torn liver in the crash, though, and was treated at a local hospital. It was theorized that the crime was committed because of stolen money, but no arrests were ever made. Curiously, the married couple that owned the house where the vehicle crashed, 58-year-old Herbert Glass and 52-year-old Lynette Williams, disappeared less than a month later. Their bodies were found floating on Lake Pontchartrain on July 9, 2010, the day after their burned-out Toyota Camry was found just off Interstate 59 in Pearl River. They had been bound with duct tape and shot in the head. Again, it was theorized that money could have been the motive behind the killings. Glass had received a large insurance settlement 2 months before his death and had been spending lavishly on gifts for himself and family members. A hole was later discovered in the ceiling of the couple's home, which relatives said was where Glass hid the money. However, it has also long been theorized that the murders of Glass and Williams are connected to those of Ellsworth and Davis. Aside from the suspicious timing, it has been reported that Williams was the first person at the scene of the accident outside of her house that night, and that she may have spoken to Davis and Ellsworth as they were dying. Some have suggested that the second double murder may have been to prevent Glass and Williams from speaking out. On Thursday, 35-year-old Darnell Nelson was arrested for the murders of Ellsworth and Davis, after DNA evidence was allegedly uncovered linking him to the crime. This new information was reportedly found following a tip from the television show Unsolved Mysteries, who reached out to the Kenner Police Department inquiring about the murders of Herbert Glass and Lynette Williams. After that, authorities dug back into the Ellsworth and Davis cold case and discovered the new evidence. While exact details have not yet been released, we imagine further information and updates will be provided to the public in the next little while. As police have said, they expect to make additional arrests. This week, the Ohio Attorney General's office announced that a man had pled guilty to several crimes after he was accused of illegally dumping waste on properties he owned. According to reports, 52-year-old Donald Combs pled guilty to 8 felonies, including 3 counts of illegal open dumping of solid waste, 2 counts of illegal operation of a solid waste facility without a license, 2 counts of violating Ohio EPA protection orders, and 1 count of illegal open burning of solid wastes. Authorities say that for 4 years, Combs' waste hauling company illegally dumped thousands of pounds of waste it had picked up instead of disposing of it at a licensed facility. The garbage was dumped on Combs' own properties, either at his business in Loveland or next to his house in Milford. Officials say that some of the trash found on the properties was mixed with construction and demolition debris, and the piles were stacked more than 20 feet high. It is estimated that it will cost nearly $1.3 million to clean up both sites. Combs apparently found most of his clients through Craigslist, where he was able to undercut his competitors because he never had to charge them for the cost of properly disposing of their waste. Combs is scheduled to be sentenced on May 27th. A Texas woman's bizarre ordeal made headlines this week after she discovered that she was facing a felony embezzlement charge for failing to return a rented VHS tape over 20 years ago. According to reports, Karen McBride, who formerly lived in Oklahoma, discovered that she had an active warrant there when she recently tried to change the name on her driver's license after getting married in Texas. She apparently tried to make an appointment online with the Department of Motor Vehicles to get the change made, but was informed that she had to deal with an issue in Oklahoma first. When McBride called the number that the DMV had provided, she was informed that she had been charged with felony embezzlement of rented property in March of 2000. The alleged property in question was a Sabrina the Teenage Witch VHS tape, which had been rented from a movie place in the city of Norman, Oklahoma in 1999. Even though the video rental store had closed all the way back in 2008, the charges had never gone away. McBride said she didn't even think she had even rented the VHS tape, and said she suspected that it had been a former roommate with 2 young kids who had somehow used her name. In an interview, McBride said that she had been rejected from several jobs over the years for no clear reason, and she now believes that the embezzlement charge was to blame. Though she was able to get authorities in Oklahoma to drop the charge on Wednesday, she will reportedly still need to have the case expunged to officially clean her record. This week, it was reported that 2 Florida motorcycle officers with the Hialeah Police Department had been arrested after they were accused of issuing bogus traffic tickets to drivers they never pulled over. Prosecutors say that 23-year-old Ernesto Arias Martinez and 40-year-old Armando Perez have been charged with multiple felony counts of official misconduct and falsifying public records. The officers' scheme was apparently exposed thanks in part to a law firm that specializes in fighting traffic tickets. The firm reached out to a driver named Raisel Sosa, asking him if he needed any help contesting the 10 tickets they informed him could ruin his driving record. Sosa said that he had never been pulled over, but remembered that he had driven past 2 motorcycle cops earlier that month. He eventually filed a complaint with the Hialeah Police Department's Internal Affairs Bureau. A second complaint to the Bureau was made by a woman who received a letter in January of last year informing her that her license was about to be suspended over 6 unpaid traffic tickets. Like Sosa, the woman knew that she'd never been pulled over. The complaints led to an investigation of Perez and Martinez that also uncovered additional victims. In all, at least 9 people had been issued dozens of illegitimate tickets in early 2020. At least one of those victims had been issued tickets in a name the officers had simply made up. On Thursday, an Ohio man pled guilty to 8 counts of murder for the fatal 2016 shootings of his child's mother and 7 members of her family. According to reports, 28-year-old Edward Jake Wagner admitted to personally carrying out 5 of the killings and agreed to testify against his own parents and adult brother, who are also facing charges for their involvement in the brutal crime. In court, Wagner pled guilty to 8 counts of aggravated murder, as well as aggravated burglary, tampering with evidence, and other charges. The terrifying murders unfolded on April 22, 2016, in 3 different mobile homes and a camper in Pike County. 7 of the 8 victims were shot multiple times in the head, and some also showed signs of being beaten. Though police initially thought the killings could have been related to the drug trade after they discovered several marijuana growing operations near one of the victims' properties, a 2-year investigation revealed that the crime was actually the result of a messy custody dispute between Wagner and his former girlfriend, 19-year-old Hannah Roden. At the time, Roden and Wagner had been fighting about their then 2-year-old daughter, as Roden was seeing someone new and was pregnant with that person's child. Wagner reportedly believed that Roden was exposing their daughter to people she should not be around, so he forged court documents saying that he would get custody of his daughter in the event of Roden's death, and began to plan her murder. Authorities allege that Wagner worked on the plot for months leading up to the killings with his parents, George Wagner III and Angela Wagner, as well as his adult brother, George Wagner IV. Though his parents and brother are still fighting the charges against them, Wagner agreed to testify against them in their forthcoming trials as part of a plea deal to avoid the death penalty. In addition to Hannah Roden, the other victims in the 2016 killings were her 2 brothers, 16-year-old Christopher Roden Jr. and 20-year-old Clarence Roden, their parents, 40-year-old Christopher Roden Sr. and his ex-wife, 37-year-old Dana Roden, Clarence's fiancée, 20-year-old Hannah Gilley, Hannah's uncle, 44-year-old Kenneth Roden, and a 38-year-old cousin named Gary Roden. That's it for this edition of Crimes of the Week. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest releases. Thank you for watching.